Another thing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that got controversial was the Bruce Lee scene.
Some say legends are built on truth. Others say they're made of myths. But what if both were real?
He was a kung fu martial artist.
Imagine a man whose strength defied logic, a fighter so fast that cameras struggled to keep up. His name was Bruce Lee, and if no one had filmed him,
"You want to fight? I'll take you on."
we might not have believed a word. From punches that look like magic to kicks that break bones, he did the impossible. But this isn't fantasy. These moments were real. They were captured. And today, you'll see them. The ones that would sound like lies if the lens hadn't been there. The 1-inch punch. It looked like nothing, just a gentle push. But when Bruce Lee extended his fist just 1 inch forward, the impact was explosive. His opponent flew backward, crashing into a chair placed behind him. The crowd went silent, then erupted. This wasn't a trick. It was real. No wind-up, no run-up, just raw, compact force. Bruce didn't rely on muscle. He used something deeper: technique, control, and precision. His entire body moved as one. From his legs to his hips, from his shoulder to his knuckles, all in a split second. It wasn't just strength, it was science in motion. Biomechanics experts have studied that punch. Stanford researcher Jessica Rose once explained how Bruce's movement started in his feet. A chain reaction followed, flowing through his body like lightning. The final snap of his wrist carried the entire momentum. If no one had filmed it, you wouldn't believe it. Just 1 inch. That's all he needed. Even today, martial artists try to recreate it. Few come close. Most fail. It wasn't about distance. It was about mastery. Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch is still one of the most mind-bending martial arts moments ever captured on camera. 2-finger push-ups. Push-ups are tough. Now try doing them with just 2 fingers. Bruce Lee did, again and again. In front of a stunned audience, he lowered his entire body using only the index and middle fingers of each hand. No shaking, no strain, just total control. It wasn't for show. This was part of his training. They say he could do 200 2-finger push-ups in a row, and in total, up to 1,500 standard push-ups without stopping. His strength wasn't just in power, it was in discipline. The Guinness World Record still lists variations of his feats. Others have tried. Some even set their own records. But no one has truly matched Bruce's balance, speed, and raw ability. Why did he train like this? Because for Bruce, every inch of his body had to respond like a weapon. And 2 fingers? That was enough. If that moment wasn't recorded, we'd call it impossible. Real fights and sparring footage. People always asked, was Bruce Lee ever in a real fight? The answer is yes. But many of those moments happened away from the spotlight. Quiet rooms, closed doors, no cameras, except for one. In 1967, at the Long Beach International Karate Championships, Bruce stepped onto the mat for a sparring session. This time, the camera was rolling. He wasn't acting. There were no scripts, just Bruce and his students. Wearing white cords to mark him out, Bruce moved with eerie calm. His strikes weren't wild. They were sharp, clean, and perfectly timed.
Chinese boxing.
His opponent lunged. Bruce dodged. He countered with precision, almost predicting every move before it happened. California law required safety gear, so this wasn't a full-force fight, but it didn't need to be. Even at half speed, his skill was clear. He danced just outside the danger zone, then struck like a cobra. Unlike movies where punches land with dramatic force, this was real, controlled, technical, lethal if he wanted it to be. He didn't need flashy flips or cinematic tricks. His real-life sparring showed a different side. Colder, quieter, more focused. Bruce wasn't just fast, he was calculating, and that made him dangerous. If that footage didn't exist, no one would believe how effortless it all looked. Wong Jack Man duel. Some fights become myths. This one actually happened, but no official footage exists. In 1964, behind closed doors in Oakland, California, Bruce Lee faced off against a skilled martial artist named Wong Jack Man. No rules, no crowd, just a few witnesses. One of them was Bruce's wife, Linda. She later wrote about the duel. It started with a bow, then chaos. Wong attacked first, sharp, straight punches using his Wing Chun technique. Bruce didn't back down. His punches landed harder, faster. Within minutes, Wong was struggling. At one point, Wong tried to escape. Bruce chased him down and brought him to the floor. The fight ended shortly after, with Wong surrendering. But Wong later denied that version. He said it wasn't that one-sided. Said he wasn't beaten. Not that badly. We'll never know for sure. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. What we do know is that this fight changed Bruce. He realized speed alone wasn't enough. He needed more. So he trained harder. He refined his technique. And from that moment, Jeet Kune Do, his personal martial arts philosophy, began to take shape. If cameras had been there, this duel would be the stuff of documentaries. Instead, it lives in whispers and memory. Mastering the Nunchaku. It started with doubt. Bruce Lee didn't like the Nunchaku. He thought it was clumsy, more show than skill. But that changed fast. Dan Inosanto, one of Bruce's closest training partners, introduced him to the weapon. At first, Bruce shrugged it off. A toy, he said. Dan insisted. Bruce gave it a try. 3 months later, he was a master. By 1971, in Fist of Fury, Bruce stunned the world with his speed and control. Nunchaku spun like lightning in his hands. He didn't just swing them, he danced with them. The weapon became part of his identity. Smooth, fast, unpredictable. In Game of Death, he even sparred with Inosanto on screen. The two clashed, nunchucks flying. It was controlled chaos, and audiences couldn't look away. Then came the clip that blew minds, a game of ping pong, not with paddles, with nunchaku. Bruce stood calmly, blocking and returning every shot. Perfect timing, perfect aim. The ball bounced off the sticks like they were made for the game. Many thought it was fake, but Bruce made even the impossible look real. Without footage, no one would have believed any of it. But the camera caught it, and it became legend. Skull-shattering strike. Yoichi Nakachi. Seattle, 1960. Bruce Lee was still a student. Young, lean, unknown to the world. But one day, a Japanese black belt named Yoichi Nakachi challenged him. Bruce tried to avoid the fight. He didn't want trouble. But Nakachi kept pushing, taunting, insulting, even sending a message. If you want to enter the hospital, accept the challenge. Bruce accepted.
You want to fight? I'll take you on.
They met at a YMCA handball court. Only a few people were allowed to watch. The fight lasted 11 seconds. Bruce struck hard and fast. One kick to the nose, one blow to the head. Nakachi dropped, blood everywhere. His skull cracked. His face was swollen beyond recognition. For a moment, Bruce thought he'd killed him. He hadn't, but he made his point. That fight never went public. No photos, no video, just stories from the few who were there. But Bruce himself wrote it in his journal. If he hadn't, we'd never believe it happened. Sandbag kick power. Punches weren't his only weapon. Bruce Lee's legs held terrifying strength. One day, while training, he kicked a 45-kilogram sandbag. It didn't just swing, it snapped off its chain. Another time, he sent a 135-kilogram bag flying 5 meters into the air with a single side kick. That's not a legend, it's a Guinness World Record. The kick was called the super side kick. Fast, explosive, devastating. Imagine the force it takes to launch something that heavy. Then imagine doing it without effort. If that moment wasn't recorded, most would laugh it off as a myth, but the footage exists, and it still shocks people today. Too fast for film. Bruce Lee wasn't just fast, he was too fast for film. When he first appeared on the Green Hornet, something strange happened. His punches didn't register on camera. His kicks were a blur. The crew thought the footage was faulty, but the problem wasn't the camera, it was Bruce. He moved faster than 24 frames per second. The speed film was shot at back then. His strikes were so quick they looked like he hadn't moved at all. Viewers couldn't see the action, just the aftermath. Producers had to ask him to slow down. Bruce agreed, but he wasn't happy. Later, when he made his own movies like Enter the Dragon, he fixed the issue. He shot fight scenes at higher frame rates, allowing his true speed to shine. That's why his fights feel real, fast, explosive. Without that change, we might have never seen the real Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's training routine. Bruce Lee didn't just train, he lived it. Every day was planned. Every movement had a purpose. He ran up to 6 miles on some days. On others, he rode his bike for 10 miles, then skipped rope for 20 minutes. This was his cardio, his engine. Flexibility? He stretched beyond normal limits. Forward bends, high kicks, full splits on chairs. That's how he kicked a 7-foot man in the head. His strength? Pure function. He lifted weights not to bulk up, but to strike harder. He didn't want size. He wanted speed and control. Punching drills, kicking drills, and shadowboxing. Each day had its focus. He sparred often, studied himself, pushed limits. People think it was talent, but it was an obsession. Bruce trained like a man chasing perfection, and somehow he caught it. No secrets, just relentless discipline. You've seen the punch that needed no wind-up. The push-up is done on 2 fingers. The kick that launched a sandbag into the air. You've heard about fights with no rules, moves too fast for cameras, and a man who trained like a warrior every single day. If these moments weren't recorded, they'd sound like fiction, but they were. And that's what makes Bruce Lee a legend. He didn't just act, he existed beyond belief. Which moment shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that almost feel too wild to be real.